Carla DeWitt motions to approve the meeting minutes.
Carla and DK, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. May I have approval of the agenda? Any additions to the agenda?
May I suggest an amendment that we allow more than 15 minutes for, yeah, sure. When we have so many people here to testify tonight, I suggest we allow more than 15 minutes at the end so that we can hear from as many people as possible. And even consider hearing from them first. Thank you. I withdraw. Yeah, 15 minutes would likely not be sufficient.
No, that's actually we have 25 minutes here.
Sorry, I think I saw an old version.
Any other agenda changes? Motion to accept,
Carla
Carla.
motions to accept.
Second,
Second,
thanks, Roger. All in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Carried. Speaking before we get.
So just real quick, this is the agenda as noted, related to my section. So I just want to show this one final time to the group. You know, we kind of see everything we've done, everything you've done, what time you give it, how long you've done, how review you've done, how outreach you've done. You know, it's really kind of come to everything today. And we're still not done. It's part of the, but it's just kind of, I wanted to show that they're maybe reflecting it, go back and really understand the progress. All the people you guys have done throughout the process. Everybody, I was kind of appreciate it. I'll talk more in the end. But again, just thank you for everything you've done to this point. And we have, one more meeting tonight, and we'll talk a little about the process moving forward. For this one, as part of that, I'm going to introduce a member of the county executive staff, Jensen Evelyn. He's going to be here to sit with you.
Good evening, everyone. The county executive. My name is Jensen Evelyn, Chief Administrative Officer with the Office of County Executive. I believe I met on you first introductory kickoff meeting. And while I interface with many of you as community leaders on a regular basis, and some of you I've seen multiple times a week, I definitely want to say on behalf of the Office of the County Executive and County Executive Stuart Pittman, thank you all for this labor of love. This is a lot of time and energy that has been poured into this. And I know you were involved in Plan 2040, and I think maybe the county executive secretary is doing this as well. But either way, we appreciate your insight, your expertise, and your love of your community. And so the county executive wants to present a citation, and it reads as follows: in recognition of your commitment to Anne Arundel County's Region 9 process. You have selfishly volunteered your time and expertise to create a vision for a healthy, livable, and vibrant community for all, and provided steady leadership in managing the efforts of the committee. We are grateful for your work that will continue to shape our communities for years to come. We commend you and wish you the best in all of your future endeavors. And again, the county executive just returned from out of the country, so unfortunately, you're stuck taking a photo with me. Courtney, you did a citation for there.
Thank you.
We did a citation for you all look for.
Yeah.
It's for a reason that most of us are here.
It is. It actually is. How does it work? We're gonna take a photo. Okay, so stand and get the next step back, take a photo, and put it. Okay. You got it. Okay.
So you want to?
Yes.
Let's do this.
We are going again.
Good. We know.
Am I missing?
Son, baby. Yeah. Yeah.
Better,
Right, who went there?
stand there. That's fine.
Why don't you do that? Why don't you do that?
Yeah, no. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your indulgence in our need to document tonight. So just, Eric had talked about the agenda. We're going to move into the public comment period now. I have a list of 5 people who asked to speak. The guidelines are the same as they have been in the past for 2 minutes. Identify yourself and where you're from when you begin. And to the committee, as we do our work, I would hope we will continue to do it the way we have so far, which has been to be open, to be curious, to be unbiased, and willing to listen to various opinions and perspectives. We have people who are coming here tonight to present their points of view relative to zoning issues that will come before us later on this evening. So I have, as the first person signed up to speak, James Lascott. Yes, sir. That would be fine. And Eric's going to do timing for you.
I'm here to talk about the property at the corner of Lock Haven and Glebe Heights Drive.
I'm going to ask you to speak with an outside voice because the HVAC system is here very loud. It's hard to hear you over there.
Okay, I will attempt to do so. I'm the managing partner of Glebe Bay Partnership, which has owned the property that I just mentioned at the corner of Glebe Heights Drive and Lock Haven since 1989. And the partners have grown old trying to develop this property. Prior to the purchase of the property, it was mostly a farm field. At the time of our purchase, the vegetation was very sparse and was definitely not a forest. We as owners have been excellent stewards of the property. In fact, in 2018, the Coalition to Protect Maryland Burial Sites presented us with their Periwinkle Award for the help we provided in the maintenance and construction of the Collinson Cemetery, which is a historic cemetery located on our property. In the mid-1990s, we attempted to develop the property. Our plan was to expand an existing Glebe Heights communal septic system. That was denied because there was soon to be an extension public sewer. Soon ended up being 20 years later. In 2016, when sewer was available, we did submit a plan. It was processed, but with the change of administrations, we were unsuccessful and our plan was denied. The owners don't have deep pockets, so we can't pursue all of these legal avenues that would be necessary to get what we feel would be a just decision. We have a buyer now, and that buyer has a plan that's been in the process for 2 years. I presented this background just to let you know, we propose this property to be R2. This committee proposes it to be RLD. The Planning Advisory Board proposed 2 minutes. Propose it to be R1. We propose is to be R2 to go with less than the maximum density. The reason for that, we would use a cluster plan, that the cluster plan would allow us to have similar lot count to what we now have that's in process, but use much less land. So we've been through a lot over the years, and we'd like the chance to talk to you to discuss the possibilities. And if I could add one more thing, even after the R2 development as we propose, there would be more forest on the property than there was when we purchased it. Thank you.
Tony, Cooper?
Hand this in. Should be enough for everybody there. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tony Cooper-Smith. I'm an attorney. My address is 706 Giddings Avenue, Annapolis, Maryland. And I'm here to speak in support of the rezoning request that we submitted on behalf of Mayo Ridge Marina. Look, I know what it's like to be in your shoes. In 2018, before I was in private practice, I was with county government for an Eastern Shore county. And the biggest project we dealt with that year was a comprehensive rezoning, and similar to this, just like what you're doing. And evaluating each of the requests, can be very challenging. And one of the things that I recall wondering about was, it's really hard sometimes to visualize exactly what the owner intends to do. And here, fortunately, we don't have that problem. What I've passed around to you all and what was included in our submission is an aspirational concept plan that we believe would provide significant benefits to the surrounding community and is consistent with the county's 2040 land use plan goals. And just to briefly go through this, we think the key elements of this: preserves access to the waterfront. We would continue to have the marina access, the boat ramp, beautification of the property. The rezoning requested would allow the owner to reinvest in the property that would benefit that project as well as the surrounding properties. We also have environmental protection as a goal. We're trying to keep a small footprint on any new development that would occur. Senior housing, we think this would be an excellent site for the adult independent dwelling units. There are great amenities that are nearby. There's an elementary school down the street, which if a grandparent was going to downsize and live near where their grandchildren were going to school, that would be very convenient. There's a post office and other amenities. Walkability, this kind of proposal would allow for that as well. Finally, the challenges with the current zoning are that with a 3-acre marina, the area of water that this is on is silted in where Ramsey Lake meets the South River, and you cannot get big boats, deep water boats back into this area. So the owner is looking at options. That's our request. if the status quo remains, I think a future operator would be tempted to utilize provisions in the MA2 that are not really geared towards marinas, like banquet hall, restaurants, and those kinds of things. And we don't think that that would be ideal for the community. This is the proposal that we're requesting. The rest of it is detailed in our written submission. So thank you very much for your consideration.
Yes.
Happy to discuss at any point.
Forgive me if it sounds like I'm yelling at you. Try to speak out. My name is Caleb Royer. I've been here at several of these meetings, met some of you, and it's been really great to watch the rezoning process and watch you work. My wife and I are owners of 25 Leland Road in Edgewater, Maryland, 21037 on Warehouse Creek, right next door to the Warehouse Creek Marina, just over the Route 2 bridge here. And our adjacent property is owned by our good neighbor, Bob Sisson. Together, we've submitted applications for MA2 zoning. My property has existing use as a light commercial marina, although it's not zoned as such. It's got a 100-foot dock. I've got 8 boat slips, multiple boat lifts, our home, and some other structures. And both we and Warehouse Creek Marina have submitted these applications for MA2 zoning because our property's both been used as small marinas since the mid-1950s, before we certainly bought the properties. And our property has non-conforming structures, historical slip rentals going back. And we're trying to do the right thing here to legally rent slips. And we've requested a zoning change so that there's consistency between the zoning and our existing historical uses. Currently, it's zoned as R1, which actually restricts our ability to maintain our structures. And we do know about MA1B zoning. However, with MA1B, we would still have to get a non-conforming use for some of our structures. And it's our understanding that the county policy is to try to resolve non-conforming uses through this comprehensive rezoning process. So we are not planning any new development as a result of any rezoning, only continuing the existing uses. And we believe MA2 zoning resolves these non-conforming uses, matches the zoning to the established uses dating back 50+ years, and it's compatible with the marinas adjacent and nearby like Pier 7, Liberty Marina. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Did you thought?
Good evening, David Plott. I'd ask Ralph Patanio, who's also, we're kind of doing a joint presentation on the old Galesville Fire Station on 954 Main Street in Galesville. I represent Tom Bowen, who's the owner of the fire station. As you all know, the new fire station's out on Muddy Creek Road. And so the issue is, okay, the new fire station's out on Muddy Creek Road. So as you know, the old fire station, nothing's happening. It used to be part of the community, but now nothing is happening. And I understand that, there's been an access issue dispute with the adjacent property owner. But what I'm here about is the future of that property and trying to put it to some good use for the community. So it's in private hands now. The post office is zone C1, the property's up. We applied for and were granted under Plan 2040 to reclassify the property as a commercial land use, which would make sense of some kind of commercial zone, C1, C2, C3, C4. Our application, and we submitted materials, subsequently follow up. We approached planning and zoning because Tom has been working with Mr. Catania from the Maryland Heritage, Maritime Heritage, who had involvement with the community, and they want to do, and he'll describe that to you, restoring old historic boats, educating people on the skills needed to do that at the fire station. The county told us you need C4 zoning to do that. C1 won't be allowed. So that's why we applied for the C4. But what we're trying to do is accomplish repurposing, I guess the planners would call this like adaptive reuse of the old fire station. What's being proposed is to keep it as R2, which is not consistent with the Plan 2040. But I would also ask you, R2 zoning is a single family house. If you own this property, would you see it being used as a single family house? It's a fire station. And it should be put to adaptive reuse that's good and beneficial to the community. We have a plan for doing that. We need the zoning to be able to accomplish it. So that would be, and if you have any questions, I'm glad to talk.
Ralph? Right.
Capanio, I think is how he did.
Good afternoon, Ralph Catania. I'm here on behalf of the old Galesville Firehouse at 954 Galesville Road. I'm here to support the request for zoning changes. I am the founder and president of Maryland Maritime Heritage Festival. Our board of directors began looking for a new location to provide education in wooden boat restoration using modern techniques through teaching and hands-on skill training. The facility needs to have room for classroom instruction, workshops, outdoor storage, meetings, and restrooms. We spent 2 years from 2018 to 2020, both on the eastern and western shores of Maryland in search of the right location. We found the old Galesville Firehouse had the best location, amenities for our mission, providing support to both the Sea Scout Youth Organization and interested adults. We were off to a great start in 2020, participating with 2 displays in the July 4th parade and conducting an open house for the community, which was very well attended. Unfortunately, with COVID and a property line dispute, we had to temporarily put our plans on hold. We hope to get back to work soon. Thank you for your time and attention. Any questions?
After we approve.
Thank you.
Thank you. Phil Hager.
Good evening. Thank you very much. Phil Hager of Hager Land Use Consulting. I want to take a moment tonight to talk about 4804 Atwell Road in Shadyside. This is an approximately 7-acre waterfront parcel fronting Parish Creek, known to many people as Discovery Village. The application for this property was submitted approximately 7 weeks ago, but I understand that it may be discussed this evening, so my comments are fitting, I hope. The property is currently zoned W1 Industrial Park. This designation certainly doesn't fit the property or the neighborhood. It is not an industrial park, and there are no industrial parks in the area. In fact, this is an isolated piece of industrial property. From a consistency standpoint, this zoning classification is completely an anomaly, and the applicant is requesting maritime commercial. The property currently includes 2 large structures, a boat ramp, bulkheads, piers, docking areas, and expansive parking areas. In fact, the majority of this site is impervious. The property owner is interested in attracting tenants to the space and encouraging reinvestment in the property to increase its attractiveness as a lease space and as a contributing element of the neighborhood. The limitations imposed by the W1 zoning and its geographical location make leasing exceedingly difficult. What would make this property attractive is to make it a destination of interest where its location and its characteristics would serve to bring it in the types of tenants who would benefit from this type of site. The property is surrounded by water on 3 sides. Article 18 defines marina as a facility located along the shorelines that has docks, moorings, and other services for watercraft and water services. This certainly describes this property. The site has all the characteristics of a maritime property. Changing the property zoning to MC will not result in a change in the character of the neighborhood or its immediate area. It walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, let's put it on the water. I understand that there may be some reservations with regards to the request for MC. And if the SAC believes that it is a better option, I believe that the assets that I've described here can be accommodated to a designation of MB. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. My name is Buzz Winchester. I'm the president of the West River Improvement Association. And before I make my comments, I just want to compliment this body and especially compliment the staff for the way that you've run these meetings. I also want to thank you for the staff for pointing out that this property of the Galesville Fire Department and its request to become commercial can be accommodated on the intended use under the R residential zoning status. So we wanted to get a gauge what the public, the Galesville community thought about this project. And so in July, we launched an initiative where we went to all the houses we could and asked them to give their opinion on this. It was the middle of the summer, as you know, so it's a lot of people on vacation. But when we finished the first phase of this, we ended up with 79% of the households opposing this rezoning. Now, I went to St. Mary's High School, and on one final exam, I got a 79. And I knew the difference between a 79, which is a C, and an 80, which is a B, makes a big difference. So I went to Sister Marie Rochelle. I said, Sister, is there anything I can do to get that 79 to an 80? And she said, pray. And I said, Sister, if I pray, will I get that 80? She said, no, but you'll feel better. So we went out, we spent a few days going out, and we got it up to 82%. No one in the village said that they wanted this to become a commercial zone, especially a C4 zone, which would accommodate development similar to Parole and Edgewater. At the public comment period, as it neared an end and we were submitting comments, we noticed that there was a spate of late entries into comments. I think there were 17 or maybe even over 20. None of those comments came from anyone who lived in Galesville. We had, I think it was 59 comments, but more important than all of those comments were some of the younger people, the people who not just live there, but kids. I call them the kids of Galesville. As a matter of fact, you have 2 of them on this committee. And there were people who grew up in Galesville. They may have moved to other places to find jobs, but they love Galesville and they come out and visit. These are the people that are going to be in Galesville for 2040. If I wake up on January 1st in 2040, I'll say, I didn't see that coming. But we want you to think, as you have been doing, to think about the impact of them in addition to the people who live there now. So please keep it. Galesville is a special place. The kids of Galesville get it. They get it. So please keep it the way it is. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Is there anybody who did not sign up who wanted to make a comment tonight?
We also have 3 people online. If any of you online would like to speak, please use the raise hand function. I can allow you to speak in 2 minutes. Nobody online.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I am a property owner of 4,800. My name is Beville Gross. I live in Shady Side, adjacent to the property called Discovery Village. I heard it said that it has water on 3 sides, right? Some of which is very shallow, and it butts up against my property, which is 4,800. apron. Also, there's quite a few in the input. The road structure does not suffice that traffic that goes in and out. We have the school right at the corner of Snug Harbor. It will totally cripple our community if we rezone that, upzone it, so that more things can happen down there. The noise at night, even with the county ramp, it's terrible. And there's no water. You only have water in Discovery Village. You only have water on two sides. You do have water on the third side, but it's about that deep, which is all surrounded by nature, which I love, looking out of my window and looking at the nature of that. So just seems to me that it's just not feasible to rezone that, to give more opportunity for more things to happen on that property. Why not? Why just leave it the way it is? That's what we have. I mean, that's my total position on that. Thank you.
On the Mayo Ridge proposal, thanks for the graphic, that's helpful. What is the owner's intention for the marina part of this?
So the intention consistent with that proposal is to continue to operate it as a marina, but a very low intensity kind of marina. So this is a pretty unusual situation where you've got approximately 3 acres that are MA2. But if you're familiar with the site, I would describe it as substantially underutilized in the sense that it's not like other marinas that you go to and there's just, a lot of operations going on. It's very low key. So the intent would be to decrease the size of the MA2, but preserve at least the minimum of 1 acre that's required for MA2 and continue to operate it similarly to how it's operated. But with the rezoning adjacent to it, we believe that would allow more investment and more users for the marina, which would, I think, continue to function the way it is now. So if you live in the community around there, you can get a permit to use the ramp. And I don't think the cost is particularly significant. And so that would continue to be available. We did look at the option of going to MA1, and I can see the argument for that, which is to say that's something that is usually associated with a homeowners association, and there very well could be a homeowners association associated with the adjacent houses that we have been looking at, but we didn't want to exclude the surrounding community from being able to use the facility. And I think that would be the concern, that if we'd no longer necessarily be able to offer, those passes. So that's the vision for the marina, so that it's continuing to be a low impact.
And the slips?
The slips, I think, would continue. I think they want to continue to operate it with the slips. The slips are falling into disrepair as it is. And I think part of the reason for that, again, is the silting in. When you look at the marinas that are on the other side of the causeway, over where trying to think of the boats, the larger, there's some pretty big power boats that are over there that draw a fair amount. And you just can't get those kinds of boats in. And I don't know that the volume of dock space that is there, the part of it that is no longer being fully maintained, I don't know if that's sustainable at that level or not. In other words, I don't know whether they would be able to have that full demand for all of that. But I think that with more users there and more investment in the facility, there's a better chance that that would be more viable than what it is right now.
This is an application NYO 006. NYO 006.
Quick follow-up. I know the marina well. it has fallen into disrepair, not because it's silted in. It's been fallen into disrepair because the current owners and the projected owners have not maintained it. And so my concern here is turning over 5 acres of valuable land to an owner who has not maintained their current property. At this point, there are 2 boats on the 100 slips that are in there, and they're both abandoned. And and you can't even get out there now because the owner has fortunately barred off access to the docks.
Right.
So I've got a concern here about the intentions of an owner who hasn't done her job for the last 20 years.
I think, I mean, that's one way to characterize it. I mean, I would characterize it as it's not as viable in the sense that I think, again, the deeper water, yes, you could invest money into that as is, but the way I think that they've been looking at it is that there's just not enough demand for it. And so the idea is to have more users, shrink the size of it slightly so that you're not dedicating as much space to the marina. Right now it's 3 acres approximately. The other close to 2 acres are the residential portions of, it's several different parcels that comprise this total area. So I understand what you're saying. I mean, there are a lot of decisions, there are a lot of reasons that would go into investing or not investing. I think they are looking at this as a way to reinvest in it, have more users that are associated with it, continue to offer the amenity, if you will, of the waterfront access for anybody around there who wants to, but just do it at a slightly reduced scale. And since it's not such a significant, going concern right now, it's not like this would eliminate, a bunch of current maritime jobs. And I'm looking at something like Liberty Marina, where that's a case, and I think that's the concern to me here, is that's the concern. So if the status quo continues, you've got 3 acres, but if you've got a depth problem, it's attractive to somebody who's going to say, well, let's go through MA2 banquet hall. I mean, is that a wedding venue? So all these things that are not really in tune with a traditional maritime. So we have this opportunity where it's underutilized. You're not necessarily going to lose jobs associated with it. I think if anything, it might create a more sustainable marina operation.
Yeah.
Sure.
For the artist rendering here, you like faded out whatever the dockage is in the picture.
Yeah.
And you had a little gazebo and then the are there any residences on the property now?
There are no residences on the property.
So is the property, it's zoned and looks like a marina, but when is it sounds like it's not a running commercial concern.
It's a very de minimis running
So there's no
concern.
pier, the pier's falling down, the water's silted in, there are no houses on the property. So you're looking at putting 12 residences on a parcel of land. If for somebody that doesn't live here, it looks to me like you're building a waterfront community for the 12 residences that are here with, maybe a pass for the neighborhood or not. It looks to me like you're building up.
What we show though too is, so right here, number 7 on there, and it's labeled possible future park. So just to clarify, that is, I mean, we were trying to figure out how to integrate this new design into the surrounding community. They have an undeveloped parcel that is right there, that's owned by, according to SDAT records, it's owned by their homeowners association. So we would like to figure out ways to integrate whatever this project would be into that existing surrounding community. If there was a way to have an agreement between that HOA and if there was a new HOA, then you could increase further the number of users that are potentially directly contributing. Those are, I think, negotiations that I don't know how viable that is, but we wanted to try to look at it from the standpoint of, you know, here's an adjacent parcel, maybe there's a way to connect these two things, so it is integrated further into that community.
I would venture to say, I mean, you're right to go in this direction, but from the last 6 months of work here, working with the county and the sentiment of people on the Mayo Peninsula, putting in 12 houses where there aren't 12 houses, you're going to be facing a headwind.
Sure.
Right, but that's, I think this whole project, you're gonna have an uphill,
So do you have another question?
that's it.
If you're asking for zoning for R22, it's allowed 22.
Oh, I'm sorry, we did submit an updated proposal, and so it's MA2 and R5, and let me just caveat the R5. So this is in the LDA, the limited development area, the critical area designation, which caps the density at 4 dwelling units per acre. So it's really R4. That category doesn't technically exist elsewhere in the zoning ordinance, but it's R5. That's the underlying. But yeah, no, we went back to the drawing board and tried to look at a bunch of different options, but moved well away from that earlier proposal.
Questions for any of the others?
I have questions about the file.
You want to address it to each speaker? We can talk about it another day.
Well,
Do you have a question to the presenter?
I guess I can ask the county at a later tonight, because I want to know what folks that are asking to do with the place, what is in the way of them doing what they want to do with it now as is. So I'll ask you guys later on when we talk. I mean, you got to build away the garage door. I think you work on both.
Any other questions to the presenter? That
Yes, I have a question for Phil on Discovery Village.
That was a 10-minute alarm, so we got back more time. Much longer, 5 minutes. And two, just keep in mind, we do have a lot of material to go through tonight. I know the question before, but just to be aware that we still have to make it.
and just with the caveat, we do want this has to be our last meeting.
Yeah.
And there are some people in the room who sort of not see history made tonight. So we'd like to be out of here. Right?
Oh, no.
I know you don't.
Thanks, Phil. What do these guys want to do with this thing?
Well, the range of uses that are available through the maritime uses is so much more diverse than what's allowed under the industrial zone than it is presently. I don't think that many people who live nearby want to see industrial activities taking place at this area. So the gentleman earlier characterized this as an upzoning. I don't believe that was actually an accurate description of this. This is more appropriately zoning this property for what's there, for what its attributes are, where it's located, and the fact that it is a waterfront piece of property. It's with an active boat ramp that the county operates with piers and bulkheads and all the things that come with being a marina property. And what we want to be able to do is to put activities on that site that make that a better and more attractive site and allow the things to take place that should be taking place in an environment
So
like
is this
that.
the site with Patricia Campbell and the oystering? Yeah, but I mean, is that the site?
Yes, and there are many different types of people that do similar types of work. They're actively looking for sites such as this. So
STF or risk,
just
what are they gonna do?
it's open, it's a lease site. So it's not like someone's coming in to redevelop to do something like that. It's opening this site up to tenants who may come in with various uses. Okay, so what we were looking for is to increase the opportunity available to them at this given location that are not industrial in nature, which is what the current zoning requires.
Yeah. So,
I had two questions, but I think,
Outside the way, please.
I had two questions, but she kind of just shot holes in them, but in 50 words or less, what would the traffic load difference be in front of that school potentially? I know it's theoretical, and they're not planning on changing any of the facilities in there right now. They're gonna lease it as is.
The existing buildings are planning to stay at this
No
time.
renovations, no changes to.
Renovations would be facilitated by the enhanced zoning opportunities and the new tenants that would come in. So it's naturally going to improve the appearance, et cetera. Roadway improvements could occur as a natural consequence of increased users. All of that would be regulated by OPC at the time of any application for a change out in use. So those things would be accommodated at the same time.
And do we have any of the current load for traffic on that road right now? Do we have that information? Yeah, but how much traffic on that road is due to the marina right now? Do we have any of that data?
As somebody that lives in Shady Side, I can tell you that there are a lot of people in Shady Side that probably aren't too happy with the boat ramp being open to the world, because Shady Side Road is not, it isn't friendly to that kind of traffic. And the little road coming off Shady Side Road, running through a neighborhood into the, I'm sure everybody on that road, as Mr. Gross has said, it's a big concern. I mean, this is the neighborhood. Whatever becomes of that property, I'm sure the neighborhood and the rest of Shady Side would be concerned with more traffic. Whether you put in park, bigger ramp, bar, whatever you put. But,
so out of 100 trips, out of 100 vehicles that go past that school every day, how many of them go to that marina? Roughly average.
That's all the draw is boat ramp. I don't think anything else.
I've never seen more than trailers out there.
Okay.
Having tried to put a big truck there. It's practically to take out the elements, but there's no way to get the exact. They can put in the two, just like green area in there, it's something to do it, set. That's what first about the food there, but they're not making it.
Which is why it would make it more beneficial for it to be zoned marina than industrial. Thank you.
Thanks, Hello? Yeah. We're going to take a 5-minute break committee and ask you to get your dinner and bring it back. And when we do treatment, you're going to talk to us about the live plan. But the committee has we invite our guests to eat as well.
Thank you.
Excuse me, the
County.
Pretty small.
For our visitors, help yourself to some pizza. There's plenty there. The county.
We actually did something.
They actually picked up the tab. All right.
So as you guys are eating, I got a couple basically filler slides you've seen before. So I'll let you guys do a few bites in before we start talking.
That's okay. We can talk and eat at the same time.
So again, so tonight, we're gonna be doing a lot of wrap up, a lot of discussion, and potentially coming to consensus again on many different things, including the draft plan itself. And as you guys have seen this before, it's, just the ethics and conflict of interest, just keep that in mind. So if there's an area you don't feel comfortable that you should be voting on, absolutely, it's okay to abstain, right? So just keep that in your mind as we move forward through these future discussions tonight. And again, the consensus continuum, again, we're trying to get to the same side of agreement with reservations. You don't have to love everything to 100%. We as a group, we're trying to reach that group consensus that, this is good. I'm okay with this. I can move forward with this. So that brings us to the plan documents. And in the email I sent you a couple weeks ago, I asked you guys to look this over and just review it and see if we hit all the points that you really thought were super important. Some of you have replied back with the wordsmithing and grammar, which I really appreciate. And we're reviewing that as well right now. But for the sake of this conversation, let's hold off on that stuff. Let's hold off on the little nitty gritty sentence by sentence thing, but the bigger picture. Okay? So this conversation that we're about to have can go as long or as short as you guys wanted to. I just wanted to have you guys an opportunity to really provide your input on this draft plan and see if there's anything missing or that should be there.
Before we start this discussion, I just want to tell you how blown away I am with the quality of the staff. You guys have done an amazing job. There's a video floating around the internet about a bunch of cowboys herding cats, which I tried to find. It's buried somewhere in the depth of my computer that I wanted to show, because if anybody's able to herd cats, you guys have done a spectacular job and translated what we've talked about into some cogent things that make us look smart. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Yes, absolutely. So how do you want to tackle it?
So if there are you guys don't have any outstanding issues, that's what you just simply ask. Are you guys happy with how the plan is presented? Obviously, we have work to do. It's not a finished document. There's a lot of missing practice, some grammar and stuff of that nature. But overall, any comments?
I was really pleased with it. And I've submitted all my very, very picky wordsmithing and commas and the occasional repetitive paragraph in writing already. I am now.
So at the risk of kicking the hornet's nest, I want to propose a modest change to the vision statement. And if you can pull up the statement itself. And this goes back to the strategic planner in me and 40 years of doing this stuff. But the statement begins now. Region 9 will protect and enhance the quality and diversity of its waterways, shoreline, forests, farms, and small communities. Region 9 can't do that. Region 9 is a place, not a thing, that is able to do that. So, and I was an English major once, so I would suggest that it read as follows. The quality and diversity of the waterways, shorelines, forests, farms, and small communities within Region 9 will be protected and enhanced. The next paragraph sentence is the only one that is not talked about in the future tense. So I would also suggest I have to read my own note to make sense. It now says, as the region prepares for the future, I would simply strike that phrase, as the region prepares for the future, and have that first sentence go on from Region 9 will be protected and enhanced, and the natural, historical, and cultural significance of the area will be respected. Because we're talking future tense, we don't have to say, as it prepares for the future, we are talking about the fact that it will be. Everything else in this statement, which the staff, I think, has done a really good job of crafting from all of our input, is future tense. All written will be. So we're only suggesting that the first two sentences now read, the quality and diversity of the waterways, shorelines, forests, farms, and small communities within Region 9 will be protected and enhanced, and the natural, historical, and cultural significance of the area will be respected. It's a grammatical change. It does not change content. Are you okay with that?
I would like to adopt that.
Well, can I ask, is there any way to put that first sentence into the active voice? Region 9 values the quality and diversity of its waterways.
I was trying to not get into anything other than a consistency of approach. My worry, Matt, is we're going to start debating whether it should be values or respect or.
Well, let's check it out. I think an active voice statement is much more powerful than if we just replace will protect with values. I think the rest of it's staying. And I think an active voice statement much stronger. Probably the dangers. The goals of this plan. Plan for Region 9.
Okay, that's what I was afraid we'd end up with.
What I can suggest, if it's okay with the chair, is if we like, so we are on a tight schedule to get to the planning advisory. We need to send everything by September 4th. So we are very tight, but in the next week, if it's okay, I can work with the chair to hammer this out. If that's okay with you.
And if you have suggestions, send them to us.
If not, a little bit. The next week.
Right.
I agree.
Can everybody live with what I propose?
Yeah.
I know it's hard. Okay, let's declare victory and move on. Anything else about the plan?
Only if there are no other comments about the plan. We do need to say there's consensus with the plan. So, just by show of hands, do you guys recommend approval for?
All in favor?
That's what I'm saying, because I actually have not had.
Thank you for that. Anybody opposed? And we have one abstention.
So, Eric, I do have a couple of things to pick on the table.
We aren't there yet.
And I don't think many of them are substantive. There is one that I think deserves a couple of minute conversation amongst ourselves.
And you can do this separate.
Is that
The
the
table?
zoning table?
Yeah.
No, that's the recommendation. Yeah, so we can actually talk about that.
Which one are you talking about?
I'm talking about the
No, I'm sorry, which document?
LRP SAC recommendation for PAD draft.
That's when we come.
Go ahead.
So there's an attachment to one of the things here.
Yeah, I thought we were doing that separately. Go ahead.
On DE 4. You want to drop through now?
No, that's the one I flagged, so I'm just smiling.
Okay.
Go for it.
On DE 4, maintain is not enough. We think we're maintaining now. I'd like to say this be better maintained, improved maintenance. It needs something, maybe a change from the staff.
And I would add to that, that I think we are missing, we talked about finding alternatives to ditches.
Do you know where it is?
Yeah.
That ditches provide the way that the water gets handled now, but there are ways that you can have that happen without it being an open ditch.
Yeah,
So I would suggest that we look in that spirit and adding 4A or adding to the other, which is something like explore alternative approaches to open ditches for stormwater flow and traffic safety.
yes,
And
yes,
I could
yes.
agree with that.
So then. Again, we can take that information, you guys can send that to staff, we can incorporate that. We'll figure out how to incorporate that.
Did you have others, Matt?
There's just one more, I'm gonna make another whack at this, and you'll tell me no. But on built environment 16.2.k, solar and other forms of renewable energy. We've left out any agriculture here, and I just continue to think that small farm owners ought to have an option if they want to do solar. No, we had a debate about it and left out solar.
No, there's another item.
We're gonna include
Because
I'm
we
sorry.
wordsmithed it in our last.
agriculture.
Well, just to restate, it's really bad.
Like solar and other forms of renewable energy. On landfills, brownfields, and we left out agriculture. And I just think we ought to allow farmers the opportunity to do that if they want. I mean, the thing that we just freedom.
So yeah, we can look into how to work that in. One thing I do want to state, and it's a risk opening another can of worms, is I was at a conference next week where state legislators were talking, and a state legislator said to the public that he plans to introduce legislation at the state level where counties cannot zone solar farms out of the zoning code. So that's all I know.
And I have a comment on that, working with the state legislature. I think as a region, if we want that to be what he suggested, for them to have the right, the option to go solar, then if we as a group want that in the plan, that would let the legislators know that for this region, they want that option to be viable. And I agree with that. I think especially with the small farmers, having that option available to them is not only right. I think it's almost a necessity and fun to be viable.
Talk to him and his sister about this large farm owners from rich people. We want to keep the tradition of the farm. This is a 10, 12, 15 acre farm with not productive. It has no prime farmland. Again, a farm.
So we have the notes about adding agriculture small farm in, regarding small farmers.
We could go to PE 18.
You've done. I want to have, right, to be able to.
Be.
do what I-
PE 18.
Believe myself. This, and that. I would be doing my job if I did direct. For the fishing industry, that I think it gets lost in the thing of a lot of this, we just say maritime trades and agriculture. Maritime trades could be anything from paint bottom of the boat to waiting tables on a boat dock. Yeah, maritime, the commercial fishing industry. Needs to be put in there,
Where, Billy?
instead of just saying agriculture,
Which item?
well, like healthy economy. Any of them, you have maritime industry. You have agriculture commission, uses, but there's no specific wording to address commercial fishing
So we could, yeah, we can look into that, but part of the reason I think we left it as the more broad term is to make sure we do encompass everything. And in the plan document itself, we do talk about, we do mention commercial fishing, potentially as part of maritime. So we make that connection in text, but in the strategy, we wanted to keep it broad to make sure we don't miss it.
Well, and then the same thing you're talking about, you know, getting something in the agriculture, part about locally sourced food. You know, you don't mention anything about commercial fishing, locally sourced food. People reading this would think, well, I'm gonna get my corn and tomatoes from the local farmer. I'm not gonna get them I'm not gonna get my crabs from. I mean, when I think of maritime industry, I think most people don't think of commercial fishing.
So then we can go back and see where we can be more, include the terms commercial fishing and local fishing.
I think that'd be good too.
So would you go to BE 18, please? And I am very sensitive to this because I am one. I really don't want to be called an elderly person. I'm actually a junior senior, but I will take senior.
I'll have to check the birth certificates.
You don't have to call me elderly.
So,
So
senior community.
Senior.
Citizens.
and seniors. We have on BE 23 an enforcement campaign to explain the dangers of speeding and enforce speed limits. But that's a campaign. It doesn't say anything about actually increasing enforcement. It just talks about educating.
It doesn't mention equitable
enforcement. But the way it is written is create an education and equitable enforcement campaign explaining the dangers. It doesn't talk about enforcing the speed limit. It talks about educating people on it. So we need to look at monitoring and enforcement separate from the education piece.
And I agree with you, but the region plan is in part a land use plan, and enforcement is not land use, which is why when we met last, we discussed, yeah, so we.
That address. I revised it slightly. I moved equitable enforcement. To make it two separate statements.
Two separate things. It's not part of the education.
Does that addresses your comments? Okay.
On HC4. I know.
What?
HC4, construct the plan for improvements to the Deal Community Park. There is no damn park yet. So we're not improving it, we're building it. Construct the Deal Community Park.
I think in that regard, it's improvement in the sense that it's the capital improvement program. It refers to any project that goes on to develop a park.
But the problem is we don't have a park. So we need to work on this language. All we have is land.
Well,
They broke the ground. They started. But it's not done.
No. But the project of building the park is called the improvement.
This plan is they talk about the future since. So, 20 years out, I would be needing a rebuild.
Two different things, but how construct and improve. I'll leave it to staff to work on. I just wanted to flag it. And the question to the group is that responsive to our conversation about the need for a new community center in town?
There's a different one about
There's a
that.
different one for that. I didn't see it.
HC5, evaluate the need for updated facility maintenance and expanded programming at the Lula Scott Community Center, Ralph Bunch Community Center, and Deal Library.
I missed that part. Thank you.
Focusing on new and senior citizens.
And seniors and old.
Seniors.
And old.
Given the progress on the giant sword, you leave any see in there?
HC, what number is that?
HC 10, that's fully HC.
Okay. That was the conversation staff had, it turned out we wanted to keep it for a part, so it's up to the group, you guys want to take it out?
The giant conversion.
That's so celebrate and continue to dance.
So one, I think because the Giant store has been acquired, I think a big piece of this strategy is for a community recreation thing. That may be, because the long conversations that we've had is really for that purpose. They're just simply acquiring it, they can still do anything they want with it, but I think that, again, community recreation center kind of gives more of a direction.
Does anybody else have input?
The one thing I would say, two things, one is, that's, I know it's. And if the fighting, so now we have, all around people doing it, we want to make sure. Safe, fighting in that area. And the other thing is, I would be. Not rolling back down. Area, if I didn't say. Solar on agriculture, I've heard a lot of people say no. And so. Our agriculture representative isn't good tonight. And I would just say. I would tread lightly on that. I'm not sure if I can. Wholeheartedly, endorse that agriculture. And what we talk about, I would prefer to be active. Since there was more. There was more conversation at that time that came up.
Also, I'm part of the agricultural representative triage. And lot of time, obligation. They have solar panels on their lawn for electricity for the farm. There's nothing wrong. They work on lots of wood. We put in a solar farm that exceeds what we need for electricity. The farm actually destructive with that and never comes back. No direction. It's all under government stuff. It's chemical and solar. Never get it.
It's only asking for. This item is only asking for stuff. Same stuff, and if that's the conclusion, that the solar on agriculture would be too destructive to the land.
If I can interject really quick, I would just like to point out, all these recommendations have been thoroughly debated and discussed by this group. The point of this meeting and point of this part of the discussion is not to revisit the substance of these recommendations, but the substance of the plan as a whole.
And whether something's missing.
Correct, and rather something is missing. So I would like to recommend to the committee that we build off the work that the committee has already done and advance with these unless there is again something missing.
Yeah, the other thing we also need to stop, since we have so much. Is that our comments, if there's somebody that has strong, that felt it's missing or needs to be taken out, we can send it to you this week.
Absolutely.
And then we can cover the stuff that we were surprised to get this past week.
Absolutely, I agree, and I think, again, if you have any nitpicky comments from grammar or spelling, or whatever, as well as the more related to strategies, please let us know as soon as possible, because again, we are on that time trying to get everything to PAB for the next one.
Anything else?
So I'm not miss the day at school, it's B5, the alternative road east of B2, providing connections along with the commercial properties with railroad and Edgewater. Is that realistic? Or something that's could be done?
It's really not realistic. I've discussed this with Mike Stringer for quite a while because they had, the original proposal had the wrong intersection entirely. I don't know that there's enough land over there. So we're talking about the tiny little road that connects Shore United from Mayor Road, Shore United, top of it. Currently dead ends at the brand new Annapolis Hyundai that we have. It currently dead ends there, so how they would think about going around the car dealership, I have no idea.
But isn't this a study?
Yes, So that's what they would be studying.
Isn't this to take a look to see if it's a viable option to try to divert some of the traffic?
To get from there to basically the Goodwill, where it's at, that's the southbound shore.
Okay. I couldn't connect it.
I couldn't picture it either, so I had to have a whole conversation.
So are we ready to move on? All right,
Just to confirm, it was a 9-0, 1 abstain vote for the consensus.
Yes.
Okay, so moving on, we're gonna start talking about the new or revised applications you guys have received about 2 weeks ago. After this discussion, we're gonna talk about areas that, based on public comment, staff have revisited and have changed our recommendation, just to inform you guys and see if you guys want to discuss further, potentially change your recommendation and maintain your current recommendation. And then after all that's said and done, we're gonna be able to, you guys are able to open up the floor and talk about any other piece of zoning in Region 9 that you'd like, whether it's an application or what might happen. The first one we want to, so one, just a quick reminder, because you guys have seen this before. This is the numbering system breakdown. So if you are confused with the numbering system, here's how you can look at it. I know we're mixing a zero. I don't.
4 digits.
It's 4 digits, thank you. So any new application that came in during the preliminary draft, you can see, as you've seen, the 400 level number. There will be opportunities for owners, other applicants to apply their PAB and county. And again, just a quick reminder to, when this is presented, the SAC's recommendation will be outlined in a document to show what you came up with consensus with or not. There may be areas that say no consensus, no recommendation, and that's perfectly okay. I just want to emphasize that it's okay not to have a consensus on every single application. So the first one we want to discuss.
We're missing one.
This is Edgewater 0402. This is an application that we told you via email is going to be discussed. And this is the London Town.
Yeah, so this is London Town. The London Town Property Owners Association reached out to staff during the preliminary draft review period. You can see here on the left, their existing zoning as it stands today. You can see that they have a community marina that's MA1, where the cursor is currently moving over the light blue. They have some open space, which is this green. And then they have some R5 zoning, which is this orangey shade. In talking with the London Town Property Owners Association, they noted that they are interested in expanding some of their open space. And so on the right, you can see a proposed or their request essentially, which is to maintain the existing MA1 and to expand some open space on this open space zoning on the sides. And that's just their request. Staff is initially supportive of this request as shown.
so is that open space request consistent with the approach that the staff is making towards the new use of open space?
Yes, it would be for park features, like it would be for recreational, passive recreational opportunities to walk by the water.
The rectangle in the house.
This rectangle here is a pumping station, I believe.
Okay. And it's currently you said R5?
Yes, correct.
And they want to give up R5. What is it? It's more to begin with.
No,
Not much.
it is along the water, so it is, they do have some maritime, they're interested. We can try to look on GeoCortex and see.
I think it's just kind of a vacant area, but again, this is a property request to down them themselves essentially from 5. Which is the
It's-
homeowners association, that's how they do their property reinvestment, location plans.
Yeah.
They want you down zone, what could be
Is there any discussion or can we move forward with the recommendation?
Billy, here's the aerial. I don't know if that helps at all.
Where would?
On the sides here, you can do that. You can see the side by side of the existing zoning and the request. So they're essentially just cleaning up this side over here and adding some open space in over here. Okay,
So everyone is okay with staff's recommendation to grant the request or provide a recommendation for the request, for county council, OS and Mary.
Not every day, and recommend that, yes.
Anybody opposed to this recommendation?
all right. The next one is in the same community. It's a similar circumstance. Here on the left, you can see the existing zoning as it is today. Once again, we are in the London Town Property Owners Association. Their waterfront along, the river. They've currently got some R5 zoning and a little bit of OS. Once again, this will be passive recreational opportunities to walk along the water. And they're requesting OS zoning, as you can see over here. Yes.
As a living community.
Yes.
Southern town.
It's a private residential community.
So there would, if in fact ever something available for sea level rise, living shores, all that stuff, things of it, not be a negative for them.
I think it would depend on the grant and then depend on the, but I don't see why would that be stuck in there?
Anybody opposed to this recommendation?
But what we have to make sure that this grant can available, that they include the committee of it. That is a part.
Next up, we have Shady Side 400, also known as the Discovery Village. I'm going to pull it up on GeoCortex so we can all see it together. So bear with me here as I move around the screen.
And while Jess is pulling this up, I may be still in front a little bit. This is something where staff is still discussing. One of the reasons why for many of the applications, or a handful of applications, why we did not give a staff recommendation. It's because we as staff need more information internally about the property itself, and what limitations there may or may not be, and or more information from the property owner. And this is one where the latter. We heard from the representative tonight. And kind of just staff, I think still has to discuss internally a little bit, but I think we were leaning towards a maritime type of zoning, but we weren't 100%, and we wanted to present this to you as the committee for your discussion.
So we were talking about this property right here where the cursor is. You can see that the majority of the zoning is W1 industrial. Some of the surrounding zonings, this off whitish shade is R1. That's a residential zoning district. This deep. Yeah. So here's Snug Harbor down at the bottom of the screen. Here is
Snug Harbor Road off Shady Side Road.
yes. So Shady Side is somewhere off to the west, I believe. Or maybe just yeah. So if we go all the way out, there's Shady Side, then we come in on Snug Harbor. You take Snug Harbor over and get up on Atwell. And then this is the access to the property. Okay.
And you know the school.
Yeah, the school is over here.
That's an elementary school.
Yes. So once again, the off-whitish shade is R1 zoning, that's residential. Then we have this deep indigo-esque color, that's MC, heavy commercial marina. We have W2, which is this middle purple shade. There's also some W2 over on this corner. And here, and there's some MB and then the W1, which is what this property is zoned. As a reminder, this is the existing zoning as it is today. This is not showing any proposed zoning.
So to go off of that, one of the reasons, I think staff is saying towards merits of use or the zoning is because there is so much MC in here. There is MB in here, and it is again along the wall. But again, we wanted to see what the SAC had been discussed and said.
That property had been laboratories in the 50s. I think from Hopkins, I'm not sure.
Westinghouse.
And up until 5 or 6 years ago, there were a couple of boat builder. Boats was there.
Yeah.
Fabricators.
Yeah, with the rigging shop. The special stainless steel work with them both.
And there was a fair amount of storage being used.
Chesapeake Bay Foundation, which is public programs there. There was a research program project there.
And the Arundel Rivers Federation was in the first building to the north.
Well, that was actually Westwood River.
Yes.
So what is the request is to go? MC.
That's
What is the difference between the two? The difference between W1 and MC. So again, the MC is gonna be more marine commercial uses, while W1 is more light industrial. So I have to look at the chart. This off.
I believe W1 is more akin to a light industrial park. So think commercial office space is generally what W1 is more akin to.
Kind of like your warehouses, stuff to that nature, but MC could,
Probably left over from the days of Hopkins and Westinghouse. There was offices, research labs, and then outfits. Just maybe bring up, you wanted to bring up this.
One allows maybe.
I'm gonna see if she can bring,
I can bring up the code.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you've got a copy? I don't know if I have it big.
All hands it down. I got stuck.
Well, my comment is just seeing that now, hearing from folks that live in the area. Knowing what you have now, what they're living with, what they want to continue to live with at this point. And speaking against the zoning change, so if you change the zoning, I heard a lot, not for what's coming in. Could be a lot of different, could be a lot more traffic. So my view, my opinion would be, listen to the residents here, and leave it as is.
is that a motion?
That's a motion. Leave zoning as is.
You need a second, you guys can take a vote on that.
I think the second is going to be discussed. No, I don't think we are. I'm just wondering is how do we do the right zoning for this?
I have up the zoning code on the screen. You can see here what's permitted, conditional, and other forms in W1, W2, W3. So permitted would be things like banks.
You said but
I'll believe it.
One thing as well is it's my understanding that the applicants so the applicant sent an email to the staff saying that they don't intend to have a hotel on the property. There is a lease from the county regarding a boat slips, I believe, for parking. Program, thank you. And that they intend to keep that or whatever.
we have to remember, we're not talking about what they might do.
No, I understand. I'm just giving you the information that I have.
I mean, and we're making sort of instructions of what this property can do, and we could get an administration here 10 years from now, 2 years from now, or whatever. That's a totally different idea what folks in Katie said.
Absolutely, that is true.
So we have to go slowly with this. Maybe.
And to be honest, nothing would be built on that location at any zone without traffic studies. Chasing property and things.
Absolutely, and any regulations like critical area would have to be met. Absolutely.
It's less of a new build than it is a restoration of some existing buildings. Those really very bad.
Well, Eric, definitely, what would MA1B get them here?
So MA1B is a very basic freedom. It doesn't, from my understanding, again, you have everything that was discussed to you today, represented as well as the application. But my understanding is MA1B is much more, I mean, essentially, MA2, but much smaller boat slips. We have a few things, such as, again, I think you're limited to 20 slips, if I'm not mistaken. While it may be to, you're not limited to that kind of stuff, in number wise. But I think you can still have a restaurant there. You can still have a lot of the same uses as MA2, just on a smaller scale.
It's up to the big arena. We're talking about because the creek's not that far. So in navigation channel, we went out 4.6 on. You're talking about a hotel.
So do you see it being marina in general? So if we're looking at what exists out there now, we've got some MC already, we've got some W2. Do you think it should continue to be in, if we're going to talk broadly, do you think it should continue to be industrial, or do you think it should be maritime?
I mean, it's all the water. She's correct, and it says it smells like maritime. In the businesses haven't had a maritime flavor, like the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, like the River, which is now and like the rigging shop, and like the welding shop that's there now. They're small, almost all very, very small operations that just need some work stuff. So then what was in the office is still.
So we heard from Mr. Hager that they requested MC, they'd be okay with MB. But if we're thinking that this area is very heavily maritime, there's a lot of existing maritime uses in the area and on site. We have the zoning code with multiple maritime districts. So MA1B is not up in the code that's available online publicly yet. So please forgive that it's not there. And MA1 is more akin to a community maritime, like something that would be associated with a residential community.
That's the new one, right?
That MA1B is it is a commercial maritime, but it is what Eric was saying. It's significantly more limited. Yes. MA3 is more of a yacht club, which isn't really kind of akin to what exists there currently, or what Mr. Hager indicated that the property is interested in. But you guys could consider, MA2, MA1B, MB, or MC if you think maritime does sound right, but maybe I'm not too sold on MC. Let's discuss.
It's not.
Yeah, not MC. So really MA1B, which is a more limited MA2. Not 1B? It's still not commercial? Oh, okay. So MA2, MB, or MC?
Yeah, again, just to reiterate what Jessica said, essentially, if you believe this site, if you look at this site, you think in 20, 30, 40 years, that you think this is a maritime use area, your options are going to be MA2, MB, and MC essentially. If you don't think it should be maritime, your options could be to maintain the W1 or to maybe have a high intensity of industrial, or recommend something completely different.
If you keep it industrial and the owners want to do something to recoup their money, it's going to be, I think, a less friendly neighbor to the community than maritime.
Do we have to decide today?
No. Or yes, but you don't have to have a recommendation.
It's W1 right now.
Correct.
It is.
So again, on that note too, and what Jesse just said, it's perfectly okay not to have, since it's not the reach recommendation.
But what in W1, what is condition? What conditional uses are, if you have a piece of land in W1, what conditional uses?
Alcoholic beverage uses are conditional.
Gas stations are conditional. Yeah, mixed use development there.
Carnivals, circuses, and fairs.
I mean, there's a long list of different conditions. Is there something specific that
You
you're?
know, I'm seeing either conditional or permitted. I'm seeing a whole lot of anything that says you can't have a lake experimentation.
Laboratory research and development testing, that's what it was.
Lumberyard, you can't have a lumberyard.
But
So here, I think special, my concern is that MC is heavy in the industry on small roads and a school.
Well, then you can't pick from that because they have all around towns, look around, some of the heaviest marines in, which you can get south. And they do it south.
Well, I'll just say that having biked through both areas, Katie sides and this parish here, it's a much harder place to navigate even on a bike than Gale. So my concern is that NC is too damn big. Now, I would put NC over to the left, just to the left of where the East Purple is now. They wanted MC. Keep going up, Jesse. No. It's in the same view.
Mhm.
Right, they wanted MC, I'd say, complex. It's a great spot for MC. But, that's just too cramped an area and it's too vulnerable.
So what does that leave you with?
It
Matt?
leaves me with MA2. And here's my problem. I've had this problem with this fellow all along is MA2 includes hotels, banquet halls. And and that's heavy duty traffic in an area on an area that floods. With enormously small residential roads. So, I mean, there's not a good solution here, given the limitations of the code.
If you have a big truck, we've got a full elementary school, bring a full off of there. It's barely, it's hard enough to drive, make that turn.
So from a staff point of view, kind of sounds like we have two ideas so far, the maintain the current zoning of W1 and MA2. So no, doesn't.
I just want to make a point. Matt is entirely correct that restaurants are permitted in the MA2, but per the zoning code, hotels and motels are not permitted in MA2.
Okay, good.
So you could have a bar there.
All kinds of things.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, there's no good solution here, but MA2 is the least bad of the options that I can. I mean,
At one point, this property was being looked at for senior living.
Well, see, it's not about it. This is wrong.
So then again, back to the conversation, is there, I know there are I got a couple ideas, is there a motion for one way or the other right now, just kind of see where we're at?
We have a
I think I have heard you leave it as through. I think we got it.
No, we didn't, that's why we continue the conversation.
My intention is we should have
We did.
a discussion. Not a vote. yet. We're having a discussion.
My apologies, I didn't
Sorry.
hear that.
This one, probably the next.
So do you want to call the question on leave it as it is?
What about MB? General commercial. You read it this.
What about it? NB is MA2 plus addition. Yes, higher,
MB slightly, a little, is more intense than MU.
but less intense than MC. Somewhere in the middle,
It includes hotels and rooms.
as a special exception.
Almost all of these do.
But it currently,
That's correct.
That's the process that we talked about.
No matter what we do, it's gonna have to go through those processes. It's, the zoning doesn't guarantee. Make the process.
And my comment again, I'm not in the change, to make a change. Let the 2060 plan take care of it. We'll be done.
It seems to me that if we need to find a way to make this property useful. Right now, it's not. Right now, it sits there almost unoccupied.
And the property owner seems to not have a problem. Well, the community, we'd rather see the place vacant.
I'm sure you will.
And have somebody else maximize their investment. Yeah, and that's where we go. Like I said, they know what they have now. Changes everything and open it up for others. You don't know what you're gonna get.
So let's take a vote on Roger's motion. All in favor of leaving leaving it as it is, raise your hand. Did you vote for that?
I see, so the only people I see right now is Bill and Rob, correct? Correct.
I move we consider MA2.
Well, we have to finish this though real quick, so make sure.
All opposed,
Who's opposed to the?
leaving it alone.
No, does it get W1? I got it.
So who's up, raise your hands if you're opposed to W one, 1, 2, 5.
I don't see what you mean in
Let us finish this.
And then abstentions?
Abstention.
What are you doing? I'll be the first. What do you do? Leave it work for this particular.
Is Hamilton the one abstaining from W one? Anyway, okay. So, for the record, that vote, that motion failed.
I mean, do you have any insight?
I I know the folks quite well, and, I feel like
Speak out.
I don't wanna say anything because I don't wanna, I feel like I have a bit of a conflict. And, for me to weigh in one way or the other significantly would probably not be able to do it. So I listen to what I hear. That's kind of where I am.
Mary, did you have something to add?
Yeah.
So Matt, you have a motion?
Yeah, my motion is to make it MA2. My reasoning is that it's maritime, it's there on the water. Probably wouldn't please all the neighbors. But it also is a property that I think has great value and is every good one. So that's my reasoning for MA2. Reason why we still will not be, I say, totally the limitation. For us, we get up a little bit. The MA2. I don't think it's going to be, I don't want the commercial. I think it's too heavy for that. It's the community or the infrastructure. It's going to be smart. It is, but I would rather. I'm not gonna use that. I would rather. I would. And pulling it out a little bit.
Well, what about the existing tenant there? I can't, who is a, well, they're a specialty builder, marine trade. Will you fit in making? She's only got that. It's been there for 20 years.
Start getting into February. Maybe.
Who's Marie Weldon?
So you explained to me in MA2 where it says maximum coverage by structures and parking is 70%. Maximum height is 40 feet based on the minimum setbacks. And increasing definitely provided setbacks are increasing as performed. So you're saying you can keep going up as long as the building gets narrow?
No, my understanding, there is a limit, there is a max height. I don't know the code that well, but every building is capped, no matter how much.
I have a question about the welder. Are they doing construction of watercraft with their welding?
Second.
Construction of watercraft with their welding, or?
Yeah.
Then yes, it is permitted in MA2.
And what about, Chesapeake Bay Foundation's oyster? So they got big vats, the water oyster? They got big ones?
I think that might be too niche for me to find in this code.
You said, what was that by the oysters?
What
Chesapeake Bay Foundation's oyster program?
used to be there?
Okay.
So big piles of oyster shells, water was running around.
Think how we take a vote on Matt's proposal? Is there any more discussion on Matt's proposal? To move to MA2? Is that correct, Matt?
Right.
All in favor of MA2?
So I have Carla, Anthony, Matt. Not sure.
And Kathy?
Okay. Opposed? Four, okay. Abstention, Hamilton's abstaining. 5-4-1, it does not. So then again, I just want to reiterate, because we've taken 2 motions already, this is okay not to have a recommendation. We can move forward.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
All right, let's, we can't, we're not coming to agreement, so let's move on. Have no recommendation on this, from this zoning.
So moving on to another application, this is actually a revision of an application. We told you in the email, we would discuss this tonight. Again, this is PL 0001. Initially, the property owner came in, and since you know where my hand is, wanted to make everything like this commercial. C4 commercial, is that correct? C3?
Originally C3.
The initial recommendation was C3. The owner now came back and said, I would like C.
Can you tell us what those roads are?
We are in Deal, by the one of the bridges, Bayfront, I think.
It's right behind. Second Wind, you know where Second?
Oh, yeah, okay, I know where.
Is this the one that's,
What's the Millennial Farms?
They were going to pay some land in Ireland.
That was in their original application. They noted that they were interested in giving land to the fire department when they originally requested C3. They are now requesting that essentially they got your response and staff's response that we were not recommending C3 at the time. And so they said, quite literally, how about C1? That's all the information we got.
Are they going, is the fire department going to get any space on?
They did not give any new information about that. They listed that in their initial application, but the fire department does not need commercial zoning if they are actually.
The last, I don't know real quick, the last time I spoke with the applicant, they said they haven't been in conversations for this year.
Okay. So Jessica here and I sat down and talked about this back in Plan 2040 about the fire department getting a chunk of land and things they get an acre of some permit. So I don't know.
No, that was part.
No, it was for that space. They wanted to expand some parking or something. And then what they were going to do with it behind. I read this morning. Since we were comment. And
Louder, Billy?
I'm going to bring this, I'm going to bring up the county's answer. Property, when we get to the other. The similar issue. County administration. Who, when they were, you can see your comments on this. Once I did a survey, I could read that. To read balance.
For this property specifically, it's just to maintain the current zone.
No, but the reason for.
I can tell you,
This is the property behind the commercial.
Behind the consignment store, the sushi restaurant.
Yeah, I got it. It's the same location they requested originally.
yeah, nothing's changed, rather, other than the fact that we're C3, C. And both staff and the SAC recommended to maintain the current zone. It's,
The current zoning is RA and C1. They have some existing C1 where the store is located. The remainder of the property is RA, and they requested to essentially extend the commercial area to the west of the existing C1. They originally requested C3 zoning, and they just said, we heard that you said no to C3, how about C1? So
They're
there's,
trying to take the space behind the commercial area.
So where the Christmas trees are.
So is this parks or is it?
this is a parks property. Parks being the last name.
it's partially C1, was our.
Sorry. The zoning is RA and C1 currently. Staff recommends maintaining that existing RA and C1. They are requesting to extend commercial zoning to the west. Currently, they are requesting C1 because y'all already voted against C3.
Yeah, so originally, that first block to the left, the store. Where, Ms. Harris and I were talking about it, that first block was going to be allowed to go to level of C. That second block on the other side of the road is what they wanted to volunteer to
build a fire.
And so if they're asking for that now, it means that that's really probably.
No fire department. So what was the county's thinking about limiting commercial expansion on Bayfront?
Yeah, we recommended to maintain the current zoning, our position hasn't changed.
But I'm asking why that.
We heard from the community, mainly you all, during your initial conversation that there is not a need to expand commercial in this area. And so there's not really much commercial leading up into Deal from this area other than the liquor store. There's not really a need to expand anything there. So
In addition to that, it's actually just not consistent with the rural agricultural development standards.
That's legal act.
But it's commercial.
Or industrial.
That might be industrial.
I think that's industrial.
it is, the only spot of commercial in this area is the parks property.
There is no.
And the farm across the street is not.
That's, we are looking at, the light green is RA zoning. This darker shade down here where the cursor is OS zoning. This shade of green over here is RLD. That is, RA is rural agricultural, 20 or 1 unit per 20 acres. RLD is residential low density, 1 unit per 5 acres. The off-white is R1, that's 1 unit per acre. And then the OS, and that's what we're looking at other than this dot of pink, which is the commercial.
So they wanted 2 more commercial staff.
And staff is recommending to maintain what you're seeing right.
Make a motion.
All in favor?
Any opposed?
Kathy, are you voting?
Well, I know.
Well, we'll call out no commercial on the. Any comment? You want another commercial tax? Next time.
That's, I mean, it starts a little more commercial with the investment.
One thing to keep in mind too, it's in the critical areas, development to be heavily restricted and,
We just voted, Kathy, did you vote?
so it's,
And did you want to add something? We couldn't hear you.
Sure.
That's all of it.
So Ms. Carrier asked me to put up the critical area. The dark green shade is the RCA, the resource conservation area. The bright yellow is the LDA, the limited development area. The resource conservation area limits development to 1 unit per 20 acres, which is what the bulk of their zoning is anyways with that RA.
and to wrap up the vote, just to reiterate, to reflect what happened in the vote. There was 9 in favor to maintain the current zoning, and then 1 abstention, which was Kathy.
No, I was.
Oh, you're opposed, sorry. So 8 in favor, just Roger opposed, Kathy abstained.
So if in fact we said yes for the commercial, they would be kind of limited to what they do in the RDA.
They most likely they would have to get a road out.
The one,
Road out.
So moving on, this is an application that's on the Survey Monkey and that you all actually had a consensus with. However, one thing I want to point out that initially on the Survey Monkey, it's these 4 properties, these parcels right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parcels. And staff on the Survey Monkey stated that the staff recommendation was to make all of them C3. Since then, staff had a conversation internally, and we actually recommending only making this one C3. And the reason behind that is this house is a well-developed neighborhood, well-established neighborhood. And we have since then realized that while the applicant wants to have, a business grown, to allow that business to be on this one parcel closest to the other C3 properties, rather than more inside of an established neighborhood. So staff's recommendation has changed from all parcels in C3 to only this one being C.
Is that the property behind this?
No, we're in
This
deal
is a
still.
deal.
So this is the one behind. Second win, thank you.
Yeah, this is the one allowed.
so I went and looked at that today. And with the address. 63 Vincent Place, that's a house.
Yes.
And so there's multiple parcels back there that they wanted to rezone.
Yes, it's again, this parcel, or this parcel, this parcel.
And where's the second window?
Right up to the grade. Right there.
So staff is recommending just to change this one parcel, which is currently split, to entirely commercial. And keep these, where the house fully located as residential.
So what I understood talking to the folks, to the guys, that they have a small marine well business. They want to be able to do from this property, I think it was fixing up the garage and then building this garage. And I think they asked for seafood, something like that. Yeah. And is there some kind of zoning that would make that small business marine welding scholars do?
So we met internally with our zoning folks, and again, based on the conversation, we thought C3 would be the best fit for this area. That would help be able to provide an opportunity for their business on that one piece where they could potentially build a structure to operate out of. But again, not the entire.
So what is in pink just to the right of where your cursor is? Is that? That's what's on.
It's across from the Deal Fire Station, if anybody knows what's there.
Yeah, so that. So I had heard that the daycare center was closed. And these people had actually investigated buying for the purpose of this small business building center. And the church is going to take over the old daycare center and put another daycare center. So this welding shop right across the street can get to the daycare center.
Is that a problem?
Is it?
Not a high traffic business? Or is it daycare center?
Well, it looks to me like are you gonna zone that whole box, and she's got her cursor, and it looks like it's split. in
Yes,
half.
this whole box would be.
This is approximately, I think, half an acre, if that.
So the white area or the green area, the beige area to the left, box.
Yeah, this little kind of what I'll call a sliver.
Yeah.
This would be zoned to.
Okay. So that whole box.
Yeah, this whole single box would be commercial, and staff recommendations to keep this residential. So we're just seeing highlighting.
Got it.
Would be. commercial.
Oh, so it's not even a half acre, guys. It's 0.12 of an acre, roughly.
So is that big enough for a building to do welding?
So we talked to the zoning staff, they could build a structure and they would be limited, but it does seem it would be built.
Okay, one more time, why did that change its mind from the original?
Yeah, initially because it's deep, it's part of a established community. You got a bunch of houses, a bunch of homes.
I will, then we say yes.
I mean, I've got a picture up, I'd like to look at it, and there's somebody's backyard backing up to the left and then backing up. So we definitely as a resident.
So I heard a motion by Matt, seconded by Bill, to adopt staff recommendation.
Yeah.
Staff's updated recommendation as presented tonight with just the one that's labeled, that's greenish with that tint as C3.
Yeah. In favor?
All
Opposed?
I have to abstain from that one, but I don't.
So Hamilton.
Yeah, too many documents. You have too many documents.
So Anthony and Hamilton are abstaining. And nobody opposed, everything's agreed.
Let me just clarify. The only option that they wanted was the whole three little squares. Including the house, also on the version.
That's what they applied.
Assuming they're going to run their business out of the home. The home is going to be flooded in or rebuilding.
So you're,
Yeah, they have one. Two different buildings. Line runs on the middle. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of like favorites, just because.
So we have a motion, we can approve that motion. So we continue, we have some more to go through. So the other applications that were submitted in the Survey Monkey are listed here for you. Each of these, according to you on the Survey Monkey, added consensus. So we can do what we did before is vote on them as a whole and keep the recommendation you guys came to consensus with online. Or if you want to discuss any of these in particularly, we can pull them out and discuss.
Want to talk about the ones anyway,
And I don't remember sponsoring.
okay.
So we can pull the last, we'll pull the last two.
Meeting ones right now.
If there's a motion.
I am motioning to adopt all the consensus votes. Please list all the numbers in the motion.
CZ R9 EDW 400 and 401, CZ R9 MYO 006 400 and 401, and CZ R9 GSV 400.
Stop there. I motion that we adopt these consensus votes.
Can give us just a minute so that we can look at our own notes and see if you agree.
There, and what is the consensus? Answer.
To agree with the staff recommendation.
So there's no discussion for that.
That we will discuss
Pulling
last.
these out to discuss.
And Mayo 06, I think is one of the last difficult things.
Yeah.
So this is the consensus.
Yeah.
No, no.
No.
No, the consensus was to maintain the current zone.
Yeah, which was the split
The,
for the Mayo Ridge.
yes.
Yeah.
So Mayo Ridge currently has zoning of R2 and MA2. Staff recommends. So what's gonna pull up is the existing zoning. Staff is recommending just a little bit of a cleaned up version. With, I believe, MA2 on all three of these pieces and only R2 on this piece. What was presented by Mr. Cooper Smith tonight was more of R5 on these two pieces, I believe. Feel free to shout out if I'm wrong. And R5 on this piece and maintaining the MA2 in the middle.
It's not. That was, I was under the impression that it was reducing this, presented by reducing is what was presented to us.
Using the NA,
Using the NA. Having to
Oh, it might just be this one in the middle is the MA2 and this is R5 and these two are R5. Thank you. Thank you.
That's what I thought we were presented to do. And
So we can pull that off.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's hold on. So we will pull out Mayo 006 as well.
So then should I make another motion?
No, we can. So to reiterate, the motion that Carla made was to vote with the staff recommendation for Edgewater 400, Edgewater 401, Mayo 400, Mayo 401, and Gales 401.
I've modified my motion.
Everything else will be the Mayo 6, and Gales 401, and Deal 400 will be discussed independently.
One on Anchor's Way. What is the request?
That's my neighbor and I, so they were just wanted, they wanted to make sure that Mr. Huff built. Have to be able to do it, but I was fighting them with the critical area and everything.
The problem is
Right. Right, it's still R2, my property is the same level. And there was no reason to change it, he just speaking everything literally. What an R1, he thought it should be an R1, there's only one house.
So the recommendation is to leave it as it is.
And he was fine with that.
Okay, so is there a motion, is there a second to Carla's motion?
Second. All in favor of Carla's motion? Any opposed? You got a vote?
So then start with Edgewater 6 or Mayo 6.
6.
All right, give me 1 second here. Gotta navigate the small screen. Cause I think I can probably get to,
Okay, so this is, the Mayo 006, anyone want to pull out?
Yeah, it's the. I thought this was the, so that there were two, it looks like there were two concepts. Given. One is the whole part of what is currently there, the other was modifications, and I thought the county. Agree with the modification.
our last vote was make no changes. Their last vote was to leave it MA2, already with 2 small slivers of R5. We had an amended, request that we discussed tonight. And the question is, and what was said to us is, if you leave this thing MA2, and it's still to the farmer, they can build it up into anything that's allowed in MA2. Here, we're going to stand for week, and he say this is started out with 45 condos on that. So, we say, we'll do 12, and leave the marina active.
So what was the county's? What was it?
So, yeah, so we are currently looking at the site plan. I believe it's the same one that was shared with everyone in person tonight. Where it's, you can see the 4 lots kind of, so from left to right, we've got one that's R5, the main MA2 piece, and then 2 more that are R5. On the staff recommendation, it was for MA2 for these 3 pieces, I believe, which were just tilted a little bit now. Let me see if I can drag the screen a little bit to make it easier. I can't, sorry. And then R2 on the bottom. So this is increasing the amount of residential compared to what staff was recommending, not just because of the zoning district being different, but also because the amount of land that they are requesting is increased compared to what staff recommended.
So here's the question. Given the zoning category of the land, a future owner come in and say, or 5, that's got 3 acres, I'm gonna put 25 homes in.
So it isn't a critical area, so there's limitations. Right. But if, as long as they follow the letter of the law, the regulations that are there in place, they could build, they could maximize whatever they're considered.
So what would the area unit is?
It'd be 1 unit or 4 units per acre if it's hard.
Needed in critical area?
Yes.
Well, it's in the LD, so we're saying.
So the yellow shade that I've got up is the LDA that limits any development regardless of the zone, or any development with a zoning that allows more than 4 units per acre is essentially limited to 4 units per acre because of the LDA overlay. So they are requesting R5, they can do a max of 4.
I have a question. The plan here, picture. Of duplexes. You need a certain kind of zoning to have duplexes.
I do believe R5 allows for types of housing. I'm not sure. I have to check. And to be, just to clarify, the diagram that you were given had not been vetted or approved, but I don't know if that can be built for sure.
Well, even in the conceptual, even conceptual, I mean, what do you have to have duplex for piece of land? Then,
But one of the things that we have to think about, and check me if I'm wrong, the proposal behind this was that these would be potentially affordable housing. They'd be smaller. And one of the.
Mayor doesn't need 20 new
Can I
houses.
finish, please? But one of the things we talked about is the need for housing for seniors and young people.
Is this by definition being affordable? Could it be really expensive?
Conditional use in our.
There is sewer. Property.
Yeah, you have to.
My next question would be in May. How many more properties would be, we looked at as far as for duplex? Because that's a precedent for maximizing, square feet of land to keep it where we all know we don't want more food to lay. We can think about it. Do something. Hey, it's already in hand of build out that's already planned.
So Bill is making the case, and it's a good one, that it's supposed to be 600 buildable lots in there.
What they said. Trying so you can. You see what we put here out there, we're in.
And at the same time, you've gone on record saying we need one to have.
I didn't hear one of them, it's under seniors. So,
We had to develop, get a field, no affordable land.
On the water.
or anyone. Mention here this is affordable, I'm not going to seduce them back.
Yeah, no.
Here's my, is that this owner or another, we come in and put the 45. And there's an election in 2 years and we know it's running on the other side. So say 45 condos on this hill side and in a hotel.
Yes.
So,
I mean, didn't say it's fair.
so being part of the Mayo contingent, so I was under the impression that so I might have read it wrong. So what I put in survey, it was based on the conception that this is what the county was actually agreeing with this idea. But based on all the past submissions, which I was not happy with, I was enthused with it. If I'm gonna be, if I'm gonna have to eat a nasty sandwich, then I want to have a say in how it's made. You want to have it, it's made. Yes, we did. It's called over 600 and go. And we'll talk about this, we do have, that's right, but these are not until. We do have a say.
Well, then they do.
Yeah, I was telling you that.
But 20 years ago, when I had my vote in, the old guy said to me, don't plan on keeping it here because we're gonna build condos on that. And that was in 2004. So the plan has been a long time. And we saw the plan for 45, Mayo rejected it once, we discussed it here, we rejected it again, they've come back to 12. It's hard for me to say no, given what another owner could do.
So can we take a vote?
To say no to part of
Say no to this concept. The question really is how does the county view this concept? And what's currently in there? Because the Mayo convention in this vein and what past conditions have been. So from one of the when you look at the criteria that staff does to review these applications, review the land use, review the community. This land use review the land use change if it goes to R5. The land use here goes to R5 and the land use change. And there's no other low medium density residential in the area. So part of that in discussion with staff and zoning and our critical area team, that's why we in part made a recommendation to maintain the current adopted zoning with the cleanup that Jesse was talking.
Eric, and it's also the national policy area. Louder, Cindy. It's also the policy area, not policy area, no.
Community wants.
Community does not
Doesn't.
say additional development area. Like R5. And this was to policy. Not against. Affordable housing, not against. I think like those types of dwellings that can be built too. But in the community had accepted the part of that would persuade us to change it.
R5 in small homes, I mean, if you said R5 in resource conservation areas,
4 4 structures per acre, and then the LDA incorporate. So, hold on one second. So the maximum yield on this property, as this is proposed, would be how many homes roughly? Yeah.
So 3.5, about 4 times 4, 4 times 4.
Saying, you give us 12. Then saying, if another member came in here, and this were R5, this would be granted. How bad would this be? And I'm taking this in. Right. Six feet long.
Yeah, I don't think you get to the. It's still well.
Right.
Right.
And we round down and we do
3 times.
This would be max, if it were R5, and then. Well, I'm gonna observe it's 8:04.
Yeah.
Can we take a vote on this?
So, we accept this proposal and try to get it through. Only in the essence that this is, I think, of our system, right? We have to do it. We have, because we can't just say no to everything. So with a good balance and a good opportunity, the proposal comes through. I think this is where we have to accept. We're gonna wind up the hell of a road. So Anthony's motion was to, make the recommendation of what the applicant submitted, R5 and M18. Yeah.
Right.
Is there a second? As submitted. Raise your hand if you're in favor. 9. Opposed? Am I opposed? So 9 in favor, 1 opposed, no abstentions? The motion passed?
Moving right along.
All right, I'm moving to Galesville, to the one on Benning Road.
So again, these next 2 that we're going to discuss had a consensus through the Survey Monkey, but we're pulled out for discussion.
Okay, so this property applied during the preliminary draft review period. That is this property where the cursor is currently. As you can see, it is split zoned with some W2 along the water and some R2 along Benning Road. GSV 401. So when staff reviewed this proposal, this is, while in an industrial area along the water, along Benning Road is very residential. And the width of the lot that at the area that they are requesting additional W2 may not be conducive to building additional buildings, though it could allow potentially outside storage. And given, the surrounding community in this area, staff was not supportive of the recommendation initially, but y'all are open to talk about it and ask questions.
I spoke with the people on your side of here. Favor the staff recommendation.
I would like to qualify. This one, one piece of land. Big building you see there was. Still is. Use that in the world, but that is very inclusive. They put that there in 1918. Piece of land has been used as commercial property before the houses were built. So in one manner or another, the building there.
That will match melt.
They always been kind of a sleepy, marine construction outfit. Some others, but there is a generational change amongst the family, and they're looking to help, and they want to take advantage of this land that they have. Always, they have owned property. So they part of the village county, but, that piece of land, going back to 1918, always been in the marine, time. And regardless of what people that move in next to commercial establishment think, I think it is practice to curtail people that are running the business in there to limit them by some people that moved in the last 20 years.
Well, that's a short definition of a copy, isn't it?
What's that? And we are trying to promote marine trade business. We're talking about pretty decent paying jobs for folks that work in this industry, as opposed to the nail salon and shops. That is my reasoning, and that is the view of the people that I talked to at the end. I didn't talk to the folks on either side of the problem. Did talk to other people who didn't be able to longer than I can. They don't have a problem. We know what they want to do. That's well, they want to keep it. We don't know. There's a field, there's a hot road.
So could be some storage.
The area that we're talking about is approximately 0.67 acres. According to the aerial, it looks like their driveway is currently in this area, which could limit development.
Says that in the application.
They clean up a piece of land and deal. Somebody to put a welding shop in, it's not even there. The welding shop. These guys have been, what they've been doing, and I think that they are an asset to the community. Regardless of what people next door think that they just want to, everything's supposed to be lawn service to golf. They are not a high traffic business. We don't have lots of cars and stuff, don't come and go, we're not generating tons of traffic at a restaurant. We are going to promote the marine trade industry in this area. We have to make allowances between them.
So what made this opposition do?
I don't want to look at cranes and bars and stuff.
Sorry.
If you don't want to read, and you don't want to look at trains and barges, it's going to be in that part of the area.
Yeah. I do agree with Bill on the essence that this established business.
So, we have a
I was designing the way it was R2 there originally, with something else, there would be a vision there. I mean, not that anybody would know, but I mean, I'm just wondering why it wasn't original.
Well, I think it's in the lady cleaning up things and it's split all over.
And it was, I bet it was this two separate parts at the same time, and they had to get it in order to get access to the road. Because that's their
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we allow the landowner to get the gas. Because that's what we're trying to do is with marine trade. You're not gonna take this all over the county.
Your motion's getting along.
Huh?
Your motion's getting along.
So there's a motion to maintain the W two, sorry, there's a motion to make the entire property W two. Is there a second? So there's a motion and a second. So, all those in favor, raise your hand. 4, 5. So we have Anthony, Bill, Roger, BK, and Kate. Opposed?
Yeah, stay on this.
So all opposed, Carla, Kathy, Amelia. And then Hamilton opposed?
No, abstain.
I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Yes, Hamilton abstained, I'm missing some.
Too many friends.
You abstain, 2 abstain.
I was gonna do the same thing.
Motion did not pass. So is there another motion, or we can also keep in mind again to
SAC could not come to consensus.
correct.
So now where it stands is this guy really has no use for that land except for drive.
And that might be open to interpretation, that's there, if it stays residential, we cannot do it extra.
And it's not enough to build, so his driveway remains residential and he can't use it for. You want to vote again?
Well, so the only reason why I voted again is because business has been there for
It's 1918. Some form. Industrial, marine, economy.
Maybe we talk about honoring the history and the culture and the heritage, and then we vote against it? That makes sense.
I mean, I can understand if you don't want to see a file. Filing delivered build next to their house. Like somebody said, you should move next to a file right at the beginning.
So when you were talking to the, I'm sorry, when you were talking to the neighbors, their only complaint was it's noisy, loud, eyesore.
I understand it.
I don't think that one neighbor is supposed to, direct planning of the town. Well, we're gonna move, how we're gonna move forward in this area. And another example with the neighbor, real. See the guy's garden. Guy would like to extend his pier to run further down with garden. That neighbor protesting all about having the pier run longer. I mean, guy's garden is already there, he can put another one. I mean, he can run one, so the neighbor is not being. Opinionated.
So have we taken the vote on this?
Yes.
And did the vote cited? No, it was, no, it failed.
Want to vote again? You can make a motion.
I make a motion to vote.
No, you need to motion what you want.
I make a motion that this particular allowing it to be zoned. That's what.
W2 on the entire property.
So there's a motion by BK for W2, seconded by Anthony. All those in favor? 4, 5.
Say.
Amelia? 6. Matt? 7. Opposed? Carla, Kathy? And then abstain. Hamilton abstains. Motion passed, W2.
All right.
Yeah, and it still has to go to the PAB.
Correct, we are far from, this whole process is far from done. It may
right.
be even far from done tonight.
All right, on to our final one of tonight, though, for now. DL 400,
I just.
Swamp Circle Road. Yeah, so this one was during the preliminary draft review period, the property owner received a letter notifying them that their zoning was recommended to change. You'll be able to see in just a second that their property is very slightly split zoned because of the zoning issues we went over when we talked about consistency changes, that our parcel lines and our zoning boundary are not perfectly locked on. And so this is the property in question in a very small area along the neighboring property. Just some of that zoning is bleeding over. So they received this letter. They came to talk to staff and they said, you're recommending to change our property to R1. We do agricultural business. We thought we had RA zoning. Can we get RA zoning? Staff took a look at this application, and there is not RA zoning in the area. However, there is some RLD across the street. The property is used agriculturally, and so staff is recommending RLD zoning for this property here, as well as the residence that is kind of cut out of the triangle.
And can they continue to do agriculture in that category?
Yes.
Okay. I just couldn't remember what it was and it's in my areas.
No worries.
Thank you.
Understood.
I'm moving that.
Is there a motion in a second?
One clarification.
Oh, so we're still gonna vote on this. It wasn't-
Yeah, it wasn't in the vote.
It was a consensus to give the RLDs.
Give the, I made a motion to give the RA zone.
RLD.
RL, that's what we did.
Right.
Yeah.
Just
We already paid it. Okay.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, so that is all the new applications. Staff, so based on the public comment period. There were a few areas that staff revisited and went back and actually changed our recommendation. And we wanted to discuss that with you to show, to see if you had interest in changing your recommendation or we're discussing. If not, that's perfectly okay. You can maintain the current recommendation you have. We just wanted to be transparent and show them where we are changing. And the first location is actually, this is the property of High Creek Road was discussed in here. Staff actually recommended maintaining the R2 zoning, while the SAC recommended the SP zoning. We as staff heard public comment and discussions, and we're actually moving forward with the SP zoning as well. So we're matching you guys.
Any other discussion, or can I?
No.
Next. So the second one, and this may be, well, this is the Road River Marina. This is an application that came in. So this is the current zoning, what it is today. You see it kind of split. MB and MA2. So what went out for public review was a little just basically pinning up the line, right? And this was also at the time, the staff and SAC agreed. On the next slide, you can see what the applicant requested again, R2 in the front, MA2, and MB towards the back. Staff has changed their recommendation to grant the applicant their request. Based on, there was a site visit conducted, and one of the concerns that was talked about was the inclusion of this apartment, property, house, and what the use would be for. If you, where the zoning line is proposed, it encompasses it completely, as well as the pool. And the applicant stated that, that structure would be a maritime use. And if you see that, you can see that structure, it's a new structure. It's not, in my opinion, my personal opinion, my non-planner opinion, I don't see it being torn down anytime soon. But here, the applicant did state that this structure would be like a clubhouse use for the maritime. They do not have any interest and are simply unable to expand their boat racking due to the hills and the slopes of the property. And for given that, we, staff has recommended to grant their request.
Also of note, during the preliminary draft review period, like Mr. Winchester went door to door knocking for neighbors in Galesville. The property owner here submitted during the preliminary draft review that they also got in touch with neighbors And they submitted documentation that they had approximately 50 neighbors who were supportive of their request. They submitted that during the preliminary draft review.
Dated the contrary. But I maybe that's the book. We have dated the contrary about neighborhood support. Why would it take 50 yeses? Thank you.
That is true. If you read the preliminary draft summary, there were other folks who commented online saying other things, but
The document
benefit of the doubt.
that was presented by the applicant, I did show addresses and their signatures, just so we could corroborate, thank you. Where the locations of those neighbors who sign off. Whatever that's.
Do y'all want to open for
Is there
discussion?
discussion on this?
Any comment?
What's the difference? Why? Is it kind of seems like what he's saying and how he wants to use it is part
So essentially, what this property cannot, is currently zoned in the residential part of the property, and it cannot be used for the married family.
so it can't be like a place where voters hang out because
Yeah, right now it's just saying. But if it were to be zoned MA2, it could be used to as the clubhouse and hanging out.
right, it's cool. So
Yeah.
voters are- But they're not supposed to go out.
So it is kind of cleaning that up to help. And what was kind of stated to us was that the change in zoning would, not increase any new expansion or development of the site, but increase the opportunity to serve the current marina residents or current marina users.
I guess my first question, Jeff, is you need to take, say, that I mean, like the clubhouse area, and you split them one part, half of it, two. But you build a personal residence on the parcel. If the resident don't like it, split zoning.
Yeah, so we didn't give too much information on that, but theoretically, yeah, you could even eventually subdivide that off eventually, and have that be a.
Be that.
Correct. And, but.
The only thing that's really going to change with any of these zoning changes is that top left parcel. When they split it, it's going to allow them to use that. As well as build a house.
No, it extends NB out to the road in two different places. I don't think that's.
That's existing. So MB extends to the
What? All of that is currently already being used. And it doesn't matter what the zoning changes, what all of the parcels are going to be. The only thing that's going to be affected is the top left. Everything else is going to be continually used, only being used now, regardless of the zoning.
In addition to that, this piece of MA2 would change the art to art. Yeah.
and it expands.
Correct, but theoretically, if that property were to sell today, this could be a restaurant. Right along the road. Just like whatever, yeah, sure, right, sure.
For clarity, this piece would also get cut into MA2 and R2, so they would get a little bit more MA2 on this piece as well.
Yeah, and be cutting that house in half.
No, it's close, but it's technically right in front, according to the site.
Yeah.
And again, you guys have the recommendation of the previous slide. We don't need to open up discussion, but again, we wanted to show this to you and show you that staff is changing our recommendation.
Do they have a problem with Jennifer?
So, is that the entrance to the marina? No, so you're gonna do that.
Yeah.
So the entrance is actually kind of like layer here in that path. I wasn't aware that there was a street name there. It looks like, oh, during the town.
This place is like a huge
Might be
hotel.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so this was taken during the winter and all those boats were installed.
Yeah, they go back to what we agreed to at the last. That essentially, on the right is what we agreed to.
Yes.
This is-
Maintaining the current zoning. A little bit of-
Oh. Miss George Bush and the. And then the other rumor is that George Bush is gonna come on and support it. That's the rumor. That George is going to endorse Kamala.
So again, the question, yes, so going back to my other question, what would be the impact? Traffic, obviously, other things, right, so that facility, that house already has water and sewer, correct?
I'm checking.
So. Will there be a large increase in traffic?
Then when you put it in the house, if you turn it into a.
It's single story,
It's not small.
it's a larger building. Again, so right now, so,
Staff is proposing to rezone that structure and everything below it, and they too. Which would give it yacht club, and, yeah, and there's a pool there, that's what I see.
otherwise, it is wrong. To impact most likely.
It could be another, could be another bankable, could be another wedding. Could be another, that's the problem with what they do.
But the
Too big a portal.
So are you suggesting that you oppose the staff's recommendation? You want to take a vote on that?
Or the role of this plan.
Yeah. So cancel, say all night about what if. Do you support this proposal from staff or not?
I'm going to accept the staff's recommendation.
I second.
All in favor of supporting staff recommendation? Yes.
Unanimous.
One abstention.
Gonna sit on a cancel all night.
All right, I heard that it passed, so I'm keeping conversation going.
Hamilton, just for the record, for Hamilton, saying everybody else.
All right, the next piece, so we had a consistency change. You can tell by this 1,000 number, it starts with a 1 instead of a 0. Up on Cherry Point, road in West River. So this area is currently zoned R5. However, it had a Plan 2040 planned land use of low density residential. Low density residential is more consistent with a R1 or R2 zoning. So staff recommended at the preliminary draft review to change the zoning for this community from R5 to R1. Staff heard from a number of property owners in this area, and after hearing from folks, we have recommended to maintain the existing zoning of R5 and to update the planned land use from low density residential to low medium density residential, which is consistent with an R5 zoning.
So essentially, this was again, just recap, consistency change. Residents did not like the consistency change, we let it know, so we reverted it back to what it is today.
Which is our hot. Which is similar to all the squares in the yellow and the tan.
In the orange, yeah.
Which is more dense.
But it's all, it's in critical area, I believe, and there's a bunch of other limitations. which is why initially part of the consistency change to move forward with it. But then again, we heard a lot of public pushback.
So I move, we accept the staff recommendation. All
All in favor?
Any opposed, any abstain, one opposed? All opposed?
West River, so like here's Christopher's, and it's kind of up and behind.
You have any more?
Yes. And the
Very
same,
simple, same concept, it's just the community, just now, we were recommending R2 for the area, and circle or outline in dark blue. Again, R2, but we heard back from a decent amount of property owners in the area, and decided, no, we're just gonna revert that. So,
Remove the accept the staff recommendation.
All in favor? Opposed,
Opposed?
same sign? Unanimous.
once again, we're in Shady Side. This property is this one where the cursor currently is. As you can see, it's majority zoned MA2. Currently, it had a Plan 2040 land use of low density residential, and staff initially recommended R1 zoning. However, we heard back from the property owner. They were opposed to this change recommendation. They also opposed the Plan 2040 plan land use. So staff is recommending MA2.
So again, consistency change, owner was not happy with the consistency change, wanted to maintain their MA2 zoning that they've had for a while. So staff is pulling back on that and recommending the MA2.
But you reverse engineer the plan and you.
Yeah, we made the plan that we smashed it.
Oh, I move we accept the staff recommendation.
I second.
That's on Parish Street.
So there, motion by Matt and MA2, seconded by Carla, all in favor? All opposed? Abstain?
Okay.
So the next one.
Shady Side one.
This is, okay, I know we have two more, this is one, two. Go ahead.
So this property owner requested a change that we all discussed back in June. It is for the area with the blue X. As you can see, it is currently zoned C1. The property owner requested R10 zoning. However, this property is entirely within the LDA critical area. You might recall from earlier tonight, LDA limits you to a max of 4 units per acre. So after the preliminary draft review period, staff is recommending R5 zoning with the caveat that they will be limited to 4 units per acre. Yeah.
And how many acres do they have?
Good question. I think it's about 3.
Yeah, this is somebody that wanted to build like a miniature apartment. What's the?
So, no, right now it's commercial around it. This is R2.
R1. Yes, so it would be introducing some R5 to this area.
Yeah. Right there in us where it is. So it's basically a channel.
There's no.
Explain that.
Yeah.
The property owner indicated, or you can develop commercial zoning, or sorry, you can develop residential zoning in a C1 lot. However, you would be required to also provide commercial, so you could do residential and commercial, and they're not interested in the commercial piece. So it would.
And one to add on to that too, so talk about expanding of housing choices. It's like it being surrounded by some commercial area, that there was an opportunity for that, as well as the fact this is in the existing sewer center.
It is.
It is. What? It's an existing.
Am I in the right?
It seems like the Woods Road comes into Shady Side Road, or Stone Road.
Am I in the right place?
Yeah. Sure.
Former property, it's got no house, right?
That's what I thought.
The other side of the creek in the Discovery Road. Yes.
But a ways back.
Yeah, it's farther. Okay.
That's in Harlem Road.
Yes.
It's not hard to make the job.
Yes.
So just the diner would be
That white one
Right.
on the top right.
You know, they kind of. You want to Harlem.
What's the plan, land use, if you got it?
Commercial.
So, and again, this is an area where staff's changing recommendations, but again, we brought it to your attention, you don't have to change your recommendation,
Our original recommendation was,
just maintain the seawall. I'll just say that commercial down there is a real hard proposition. It's currently commercial. And I understand that, but the commercial there is not very simple. They're having a hard time driving. Oh, we got our right off. And there's a restaurant that's, yeah, 20 minutes a day. I mean, I don't think you need more commercial there. You know what I mean?
It's approximately, yeah, it's approximately 2 acres. So about 8 units. Yeah.
Less, 1.82.
Less than, fewer than 8 units.
Times 4, 7 units.
It's probably one American is there.
Well, anything above.
How many for our one?
Less than 2.
so we have,
areas are ones.
we have a recommendation. When we talked about this last, leave it as commercial. The staff has changed their recommendation. Question is, do we agree or do we want to stay?
This landowner wasn't like being commercial. It wants to be residential. So if they want to be residential, we can make a recommendation of how dense we can do residential. And what's the property behind it? Is all that.
The opaque, yeah.
So why couldn't they put? Why couldn't it be all? That would be more. And what is already there.
And it got 3 acres, they can put 3 houses.
No, they can't. Well, it's less than 2 acres.
One house.
So unless the staff can open up, I move we accept the staff recommendation for. I didn't get a second. Not for me. You guys have done the thinking in a way that I don't think we can do within the time frame we have.
When does that count?
Well, I understand. So Matt had a motion, is there a second to Matt's motion?
Can we say no, change it to?
You could-
In the middle?
I would say we recommend going R1. R1 is what the.
That's a motion. It sounds like Matt's motion failed because he didn't get a second.
And, if the guy wants residential zoning on the property, not commercial, we all want, he wants to put a house there, fine.
Sounds like a motion to me.
All in favor?
So there's a motion on this, motion to, by, seconded by Roger.
And our recommendation change. From keep it commercial to zone it R1.
So who all is in favor of R1 for this?
Yeah.
1, 2.
You guys, stop talking.
All in favor for R1? 6 in favor. Opposed? 3, 4.
Did you meet this guy?
Yeah.
Not relevant.
If Building one home versus building 7 homes is not gonna meet whatever is economic. So the motion did pass 6-4. It's, or actually, no, sorry, it's just under the 2/3. So it did not pass. Did everybody vote?
Yeah.
So unless there's another motion, we can continue on with maintaining the SAC initial recommendation of C1.
Yeah.
Next one. All right. And finally, hope this is a little easier, maybe not. So this is the side that came in, they applied for C4, I believe. They wanted to do outdoor storage, things of that nature.
Office space for electricians, and other contractors of the sort, plumbers, et cetera,
In a residential neighborhood.
in this commercially zoned piece in a residential.
C1. And our initial recommendation is to maintain C1 and not grant the C higher commercial use. The initial recommendation is to maintain the C1.
Well, what is there?
And it's a big, I believe.
It's
It's currently zone C. And after meeting with zoning staff, it sounds like C2 could be a good fit for what they're actually trying to do. So instead of granting the C3 or C4, to give them a slightly more intensive control of C4.
when you said you're not with them, what did they want to use it?
Zoning.
But they indicated they'd like to use the space as an office for electricians or plumbers.
Then why can't they do that in C1? It's an office space, C1, I'd be mindful. I think they would, not an office space, I think they would.
They need somewhat more additional, which so it provides a marginal amount of additional outdoor storage for the.
Well, that's in my perspective, not what you're finding.
Right, yeah, I agree with that, but
I move we accept the two, yes.
what do you say?
We have a second?
Yes.
All in favor? All in favor?
There's a motion for C2 on the floor, and who all is in favor of C2 to the front? 5, 6, 7,
Opposed, same sign.
2.
Three.
Abstain.
2 opposed, 1.
Motion.
He's working on it.
So that is all the zoning that the staff can bring up to you. To be fair and of your whole time here this entire year, if there's an opportunity that any of you want to bring up another zoning category, just application.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. So if not, we can continue on. The last thing I'm going to do on the next slide is give you one important date, the next meeting, the most important date, September 18th. That's
Time.
5.
No, 6 p.m.
Is it a Zoom? Oh, it's.
No, okay, so, hi, I'm the advisory board secretary, nice to meet everybody.
Hi.
So this meeting will be in the Chesapeake room of 2664 Riva Road on Wednesday, September 18th. The planning advisory board starts at 6 p.m. The PAB will be in Chesapeake room together. However, if y'all would prefer, there is always a Zoom option, so you can watch via Zoom. They'll discuss Region 9 at a future meeting. That'll come very shortly after the Wednesday, September 18th meeting. And at that future meeting where they discuss Region 9, there will be an opportunity for public comment once again. So stay tuned for updates. We'll be, even though it's now shifting over to the planning advisory board and it will become their public process, we will still be posting, information about how to comment on the Region 9 plan and how to watch these meetings on the Region 9 website.
So you will send us a reminder. Especially when I'm coming.
Yes.
And so they're not gonna be talking about Region 9 on September.
They will.
So in region, the September 18th meeting is a brief. It's simply going to be the planning, the super planners for regions for 1, 3, and 9, just giving a generalized broad overview to planning advisory. After that meeting, it's my understanding that the public comment period will open and anybody can provide comments on the draft plans. The draft plan that you guys looked at prior to this meeting will be polished, will be better, will be more professional, right? For the public to review as well. And you guys can provide comments as well as your way. And again, it's important to, stay involved in this process. And as Jesse was saying, the next meeting after September 18th, which is the 25th, September 25th, that's when there's gonna be a meeting discussing only Region 9. That's when the public comment will come out, where people can give verbal testimony, and discuss what their thoughts are.
So I've been by two members of the PAB to make sure we are at the meetings. When we are at our meetings. Because there will be questions and we may not have the opportunity to participate in the meeting, but to show the fact that we believe in our recommendations and to strengthen the spine of the PAB, because they're going to be under intense pressure to grant the things that we did not grant here. Right. So just strong encouragement to be there, these two, and then at the council meeting, when it hits there in December, whenever it hits there.
And what time is?
6 p.m.
Both of them.
Yes, on the 25th is also 6 p.m. at this location.
Also 6 p.m., different location. It will be at Southern High School, which is not in Region 9, but it is more centrally located compared to the
reminders.
Yes.
You
Do y'all want a calendar? I can make y'all a calendar invite if you want.
So just to wrap it up before I pass it over to Kate, I do want to say two things. One, just finishing up Region 4, it is very important for you guys to stay part of this process. When you guys show up, it does go a long way. It's very impactful. And while the meetings for Region 9 SAC are concluded up to tonight, I would encourage you to still be a part of the process until this gets across the finish line early next year. And that's what I'll say for that. The one thing I do want to say is this is a great committee. It's the first committee I've been a part of since COVID started, where we met first every time only. So coming to see you rather than a Zoom meeting is nice. I appreciate that. And I really do appreciate every work you guys have done, every ounce of work you put towards this, outreach you've done, and really be able to be part and make Region 9 a really good document that I'm proud of. I know staff is proud of as well. And it really shows a lot of the work you guys did. You made our job a lot easier. You put some word on paper. You're the ones that had the ideas. You're the ones that sat up here, listened to the education material. And I really do want to thank each and every one of you for everything you've done.
Looking at this, being on the last committee we had 20 years ago, not only do we have to be at these next meetings and council meeting, but the communities themselves, once this plan gets put in a binder, communities themselves have to come knocking at the county's door, mind this is our plan. This is what we want. We may have a different administration and we can do, they may just put it on the shelf. Communities themselves are going to have to remind powers that be, this is what we talk.
Absolutely.
For the next 20 minutes.
For the next 20 years.
So, before you fold your tent, I just have a couple of observations and I actually wrote them down, so I wouldn't forget. You have to pay attention. This is last time. So like many of you, I came onto this committee because Courtney made it impossible to say no. So when I first said yes, I wondered if I'd taken leave of my senses. I remember, as Anthony does, how much work the general development plan 2040 was. And I said at that point, I'd done my time and that there was no way I was going to do this again. And then Courtney persuaded me to apply. And then when County Executive Pittman called and asked me if I chaired this group, again, I'd wonder if I'd done something foolish in saying yes.
Yeah.
Although nobody ever says no to Stuart, so you know. But looking back over the last 11 months, I am very glad I was persuaded to say yes. It really has been a joy working with all of you. You are a really dedicated group of community leaders and activists committed to making South County a better place for all of us, both in the short term and the long term. I don't think I've shared this story with you, but about 20 years ago, I had the joy of working with John Perry Barlow, a name you may or may not know. He was co-founder of the Electronic Freedom Foundation with Esther Dyson and the lyricist for the Grateful Dead and a cattle rancher from Montana. He was a really true Renaissance man. And while I never admitted this to Ray, I had a huge crush. He taught me a lot as we worked together as colleagues. But one of the most memorable, impactful things was something he repeated regularly, and that was his desire to be a good ancestor. But I've done all these really cool things in my life, but more than anything, I want to be remembered as a good ancestor. And that desire directed and influenced all of his actions. I see that kind of commitment present in those of you in this room now. The desire to leave South County better than how you found it. And for that, the residents of our little piece of heaven should be profoundly grateful. I know I am. I'm grateful for your curiosity, willingness to explore ideas that might not have been comfortable or familiar, your tolerance for each other when we were not necessarily always tolerable, and your respect for one another. It has been a joy to lead you in this effort. And I would be remiss if I didn't also ask you to join me in thanking Eric and Michael and Jessica and Cindy, our fearless staff who have done such a magnificent job in keeping us focused, pulling together all the materials we needed to get smarter about the topics we thought we already knew about, and then synthesizing our deliberations in a way that made sense. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
One sentence. One word. One a little better than that.
So I had hoped that we would be able to end this evening with a champagne toast. But then I found out that we're in a police station and they said, no, they frowned on drinking. No guns, no drink. They did say we could have a drink in the parking lot, which felt a little weird. But in the spirit of that, for our staff, yeah. But I need help.
Impressed, I guess, with the director and all of the work that you all have done. So here's just a little card thing, and there's one from Michael here too.
Thank you. These are the two gifts that Kathy got from Always Ice Cream, which is open until 10 o'clock. Yeah, and just around the corner.
Yes.
It is the best ice cream.
Yes.
It's good. So I have 3 bottles of champagne for 3 key staff. And we've got to deliver one. The Michael. And if you are so inclined, it's not cold, but when you get home, I put it on ice to celebrate the next president of the island. Thank you, guys.
Thank you
very much.
Good job. And
Yeah.
It was Erica. Yeah.
so if you need any more,
I'll take pictures.
We're doing one more final motion.
Motion to adjourn this.
There's a second.
Thanks, man.
you're the best. You got the most.
I can only leave the webinar. I can't end it.